forward in our national security. Let's go live to reporter Sarah Martinez at the registration center downtown.
More than 50,000 people have come here this morning to register. This is the future of secure identification, linking identity, healthcare, and payments in one verified system.
When the mark of the beast is introduced, countries will present it as a matter of national security. Every financial institution, from the banks, hospital, and even supermarkets, will state that it is a requirement that you have the mark.
I'm sorry, but without the mark, we can no longer provide you access.
Banks won't allow you to access any funds without it, and supermarkets won't allow you to purchase any goods without it.
You'll need to get registered before you can shop here, sir.
Hospitals won't treat any patient who hasn't been marked.
I'm sorry, ma'am. We can't proceed without your digital mark.
The mark of the beast won't be branded as evil. No, the mark will be incentivized. Early takers will be offered discounts and access to products and services. Then, gradually, those benefits will be exclusive, only to be available for the marked. They'll call it modern convenience. You'll call it a small price to pay, until the day you can't eat without it. Can't travel.
Reminder, all riders must verify digital identity before boarding.
Can't breathe in society.
I'm sorry, sir. We can't proceed without verification.
Unless you bear the symbol. You see, when the mark of the beast is introduced, the Antichrist will make life without it so difficult that many will simply cave into the pressure. People will feel the pressure from society to conform.
James Carter, please follow me to room 4.
You will see a desperate longing in the faces of people who just want life to return to normal. They simply want to be able to buy and sell freely. They want to work, socialize, and cling to whatever freedom they once had. The price to pay for this? A simple mark on the forehead or on the right hand.
Hey, Mark.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3, and verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Right, before I get on with this video, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahawashi, Ba'Hashem Rakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. And may Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahawashi's peace be bestowed unto you, hopefully elect, because we are surely going to need it in the times to come. As I just read, when this hour of temptation comes upon the world, and every man, woman, and child will be forced to make a decision that's going to determine or it's going to solidify, what was already written in the heavens. All right. And we're just hoping to be on the Lord's good, to be found with the Lord's good graces. Like it tells you in 2 Ezra 9, as far as those of us, Lord willing, we are of the elect. The Lord's going to preserve us. And as I just read here, the Lord's going to keep us going into, to protect or to guard. Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahawashi is going to give us a certain spirit to be able to withstand in that day. Because that's why the just are going to have to live by faith. Because, and it's a question that I'm, to myself as well. I'm asking to myself as well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do in that day when, as we see right now, everything is a thing of convenience. We're still in the cool of the day. All hell hasn't even really broke loose like that. Society's still intact and things of that nature. There's still some form of order. But one day, all this is going to change. All this is going to be different. I'm going to get this in the book of Peter. The book of 1 Peter. 1 Peter 4 and 7. But the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. So you see, again, life as we know it is about to change drastically, dramatically. All right. And all this how we conduct business, buying and selling, and things of that nature is going to be different. So again, what are you going to do in that day? You know, and again, that's why the just are going to have to live by faith, because we don't know. You know, I mean, we play different scenarios out in our mind. You know, but of course, you know, don't you know, let it, you know, don't defeat yourself before you even get in a fight, you know, because if anything, you know, meditate upon the goodly things of Yahweh Shema Shai. You know, the Lord made promises, and someone's promised the victory. You know, someone is promised spiritual power. You know, someone, the Lord made certain promises, and those are the things that we ought to look forward to. The Lord's goodly things. All right, because yeah, it's going to get bad. There's going to be a lot of destruction. All hell's going to be breaking loose. But on the same note, Yahweh Shema Shai, he promised salvation. He promised a way of an escape. All right. So those are the things, being of the hopefully elect, we ought to look forward to. All right. Because of course it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done, of course. But you know, I look forward to the day when, you know, here it is. I'm about to get off work here in a few, you know, as brothers are and sisters are getting ready to get up to go to work, to barely make ends meet. You know, you fill your bag with holes, roughly paraphrasing, right? You know, barely making ends meet out this bitch, right? But I long for the day. I can't wait for the day when I ain't gotta wake up to these bullshit alarm clocks. Everyone rushing to work to go to a job that they don't even want to go to. You know. You know. I can't wait for the day when I don't gotta get up to go to work. You know, and at this point, man, it's just like, when has the Lord ever done us wrong? You know, that's why I had the attitude, hey, I'd rather just take my chances with Yahweh Shema Shai, because depending on Esau, depending on the system, depending on these bullshit 9-to-5 jobs, and so on and so forth, man. You know, it's you know, Esau's never done right. Needless to say, you know, Esau's not dependable. These bullshit 9-to-5 jobs, they're not dependable. This system is not dependable. You see, the scriptures talk about the plowman overtaking the reaper. You know, and basically, man, that plowman, when you go into it, the fuck? That plowman, when you go into it, is basically someone that works, but they don't reap the benefits. They don't they don't reap the benefits of their work, you know, of their labor. You know. So like I said, I long for the day. But again, of course, it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. Because what are we going to do? Well, I don't know. And that's why, hey, you know, we just, Yahweh Shema Shai, we are being trained to make it our first nature to just Yahweh Shema Shai in anything and all things. We're being exercised to just Yahweh Shema Shai. Yahweh Shema Shai, you know. That way, when that day does come, and hey, again, we're going to revert back to our training. And from there, it's just going to be pure faith. Because listen, again, it could be nerve-wracking, you know. It can be nerve-wracking if you allow it. Remember, they're your thoughts. It's your imagination, you know. So you can't control, to an extent, man. You can control your feelings, your emotions. That's why they are called your emotions. So with all that being said, don't be too what you know, play out, the scenarios that you play out in your mind, it's not reality. You see, it's not reality. You know, oftentimes, man, you know, Jake be in their mind too much, you know. And like I said, you know, you defeat yourself before you even get into the fight, before you even get into the ring. You know. But nevertheless, you know, hey, because this is a major stumbling block in Israel as far as Revelation 13, 16 and 17. Let's go to it. Revelation 13. Because what are you going to do? Like I said, because that's one thing about these simple Babylonians, including Jake in the truth. They don't know how to be uncomfortable. You know? They don't know how to be without, for the most part. But more and more, as we see, the Lord is stripping comforts. All right? These Babylonians have been able to live good, slide good for a little minute, you know? And that's why it's going to hit them like a shit ton of bricks when it's all said and done. And that day does come. And again, how we conduct business and transactions and things of that nature, it's all going to be different. You know, I was watching something earlier about how, matter of fact, let me just get it real quick. I'm going to just read the title. Being that, you know, this, it's just more convenient to, you know, DoorDash, order off of DoorDash and Amazon and things of that nature, which of course that's going to put a lot of businesses out of business, you know. But I was reading something earlier and it had me meditating on how we're going to go back to a bartering system. You know, it talks about that in Genesis, the 17th chapter, I do believe, about the famine. Matter of fact, I'll go to that. But before I do, I'm going to just look this up real quick. I was watching it earlier. I was watching this earlier. Just got to go through my history real quick. Yeah, something, I got this video here on Weon, and it goes into secondhand sales surge in the U.S. amid inflation and sustainability trends. So, bear with me. Got a lot of activity around me, so I'm just trying to be circumspect. But going into this video, I'm just read the description. It said the U.S. secondhand market has experienced significant growth, reaching $73 billion in 2023, and projected to continue expanding. Factors such as inflation, sustainability concerns, and the rise of online resales platforms have contributed to this trend. So going into, just for an example, you know, something, you know, they were touching on things like OfferUp. You know, those that know about OfferUp, you know, apps where you can, it's almost like a Craigslist, you know, back in the day, you know, for those that know about the Craigslist. But now you have all these apps like OfferUp, right, where you can post things on the app to sell, you know, buy things. right? You purchase things. You got things like Facebook Marketplace, and just things like that. People are more and more reverting to those type of platforms. And like I said, being that it's just more convenient, right? But like I said, just meditating on it, it just had me thinking about how we're gonna go back to a bartering system. I'm gonna go to this in Genesis real quick, because things are gonna get so bad. It will get to a point where people are gonna sell themselves. Women are gonna sell their box, as if that's not already taking place as we speak, right? Like the beloved elder from my camp, hey, I got $5 and I expect change. That's how bad it's gonna get. Because right now, like I said, these women are already selling the box for overpriced. Well, hey, you're gonna go back to being a $40 hoe, man. And that's being nice. That's being PG. Hell, people are gonna be selling their daughters off. That's how bad it's gonna get. But Genesis, so that's not 17. Just look for this real quick. Genesis, was that 47? I do believe. So Genesis 47. Just trying to get to the point. So Genesis 47 and 13. And there was no bread in all the land. All right, so Genesis, 47 and 13. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they brought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when money failed in the land of Egypt, you see, no new thing under the sun. All right. And in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle, if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for their flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for their asses, and he fed them with the bread he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. So you see, it was a bartering system, being that the money failed. All right. Hey, the more and more the society collapses, because that's how they got to usher in a new system. You got to collapse the old one. All right, which we're in the midst of the doing away of this old system and then bringing in of the new. And with that being said, it's going to be a whole new way of buying and selling. All right. So Revelation 13 and 16, and he calls it all. And we are in this process now of Esau causing, he's setting it up. All right, he's making it ready, paving the way for this new system. All right. He's buttering everyone up. You see, everyone's being catered for this new system. It says, because when you read in the previous verses, it's going into the image of the beast. What is the image of the beast? It's the system. All right. And in order to partake in the system, well, again, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. And notice how there's no middle class. All right, there's no in between there, rather. Because what has Esau been doing? Especially at the start of this 2020 world crisis. you know, the doing away of the middle class. All right, you're going to fall into one of two categories: the rich or the poor, as I just said here. There is no in between. All right, doing away with the middle class is just more. It just makes it more easier for control, for the elites to control. You see, it says free and bond to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And again, you know, the start of this world crisis back in 2020 it was a small prelude. And you know, it goes to show you how quickly things can change, because back in 2020, 21, 22, things were shut down, right? Whole time they were building these you know, towers, right? And hell, even before they were made these, you know, 5Gs. Trump was already talking about the 6Gs before they even made the 5Gs, which goes to show you the vibration. All right. But yeah, you know, when they let everyone back out, you know, we seen the you know, the towers up. Everything was about the QR codes, you know, just more convenient. Everything became more convenient. It goes to show you how quickly things can change. You know, this whole world crisis back in 2020, it was again, it's a small prelude in many ways. On so many levels, it was a small prelude. You know, and it goes to show you how quickly things can change, man, overnight. You know, it says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right, so a part of what we've been seeing, the process being expedited as far as this MOTB, going back to again 2020 with basically the tap and go, right? You know, over the years, you know, it's been more convenient for people to, you know, get that insertable grain of rice device under the skin. You know, that way, you know, because it's like, well, with all these restaurants, right? You know, when you just go in a restaurant and, you know, the waiter or waitress, they ask, you know, how many, you tell them how many, you know, and you hope to just get a seat right away, but sometimes you gotta wait, you know. Well, now they have it to where basically, you know, you do things online, right? Hey, you don't have to wait. You can skip the line, right? You order online, you can skip the line and things of that nature. You know, it just, everything is in the name of convenience. So going back to this CHIP, the MOTB, instead of waiting in line, well, hey, you just get this insertable device. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait or wait. You could just pay as you go, or you know, because you're going to become basically the matter of fact, when you read verse 18, it says, and here is wisdom, let them that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And pretty much, and you know, Lord willing, I'll probably do a video dealing with this, touch on it. But pretty much going into the 666, as we know, chi-sty stigma, right? You know, basically, because you know, everything has a what do you call it, the barcode. You know, when you make a purchase, everything has a barcode, and basically that's going to be in you, and not so many words. You know, it's more in depth, but of course it's more in depth, but basically it's going to be in you. All right, you are going to be the barcode in a sense, you know. So going back to the point that I was making about how, hey, instead of waiting in line, long lines, right? You know, You know, you just get this device inserted in you, and boom, you know, you don't have to wait in line. You can just pay and go, pay as you go. You know, the hell, even with that being said, because it's going to get to a point where, hey, you're going to have this MOTB. You're going to have this this device, because pretty soon the new normal, the new trend is going to be, hey, everyone's going to be walking around. Because, you know, every couple of years, there's this new trend of something of some sort. You know, there's always some new trend every so often years, you know. And the new one at some point in our lifetime is going to be people walking around with these C-hips, with these devices. You know, these influencers, they're going to be promoting it. These so-called celebrities amongst our people, they're going to be promoting it. It's going to be the new thing, the new trend, to the point where, hey, if you don't have it, hey, you're going to be looked down upon. You know, it's like when you go to the grocery store, you know, you pull out change, you pull out fiat currency, all right, people look at you crazy, because that's pretty much done away with. You know, that's been phased out. You know, so applying that same concept, you know, the new thing is going to be people, if you don't have the MOTB, you're going to be looked down upon, you know. And that's why when you read verse 14, it says, and he deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, going into the system. Esau, now he's in a position to where he can bring this system to life through his technology. All right, and make everyone a part of this system, and bow down to him ultimately by taking that MOTB. Right. But if you don't, it says, which had the wound by the sword and did live. I'm sorry. Yeah. Verse 15. And he had power to do, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So in a figurative sense and in a spiritual sense, you know, because we know some are going to be martyred for refusing to take the MOTB, for refusing to bow down to this image. Because what's going to be the ultimate form of what they would call sell your soul, what's going to be that MOTB. All right. In the spiritual aspect, well, you know, those that don't take the image of the beast being killed, the spiritual aspect, well, hey, you're going to be exiled out of society. You won't be able to buy or sell, like the prophecy says, man. It's clear. You know, it's pure to the pure. You know, it makes sense to the elect, because there's just no way in hell, you know, you're trying to buy and sell, and, well, do you have your picture of Cedric Borgia? No, man. You know, and that's why I said, when it comes to the MOTB, that's one of the main biggest stumbling blocks in Israel, as far as what this is going into, this prophecy is going into. You know, and that's why it's cold. The Lord is cold, because whether you believe it or not, everyone is going to be forced to make a decision. You're not going to necessarily be forced to take the MOTB, but everyone will be forced to make a decision, whether you believe or not. And that's what's cold about Yahweh Shema Shai. All right. But imagine that, you know. Again, like I said, what are you going to do in that day when this is implemented? In you know, your livelihood is you know, on the line. Your livelihood is in danger, because that's how Esau's going to get you, man. He's going to attack your livelihood, as we already see. You know, like I said, Esau, he's already making the conditions harsh. You know, everyone's already surviving at best out here. Well, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get harder. So that's why the elect are going to have extreme faith, man. Because I'm going to grab this in Isaiah 10 and 27. And it shall come to pass in that day that his burden shall be taken away from off thy shoulder, and his yoke from off thy neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing. So you see, like I said, and I can't wait for the day when I don't have to wake up to these bullshit 9-to-5 jobs. All right, because the system is going to collapse before they bring this new system in. It's going to be chaos. All right, it's going to be total anarchy. All right, you know, like I said, these Americans, man, they're comfortable, you know. For the most part, these Americans, they don't know how to go out and hunt, because, you know, these stores, man, they're going to be, these buildings, they're going to be rubble. You know, everything's going to be a wasteland. America's going to be a wasteland, man. So what are you going to do in that day when his burden is taken off of our shoulder, and we're not going to have to depend on the system? What are you going to do? Like I said, it's easier said than done, but I take my chances with the Lord, because when has the Lord ever done us wrong? When has the Lord ever left those confounded that called on his name in the sincerity and in truth? So I'd rather take my chances with the Lord. Honestly, I can care less if I'm in the woods, if I'm in a concentration camp. I can care less, you know. And that's why, going back to what I said, you know, we're going to revert back to our training. Hey, Yahweh Shema Shai. You know, Yahweh Shema Shai, that extreme faith. All right. Because naturally the flesh, of course, is going to think one thing, is going to feel one thing. But we've been exercised to say to hell with that flesh, man. And hey, Yahweh Shema Shai. But as far as these people, hey, Esau, he's going to attack you where it hurts, because that's how the devil plays. Not fair. So he's going to attack everyone's livelihood. So, you know, you won't be able to do anything if you don't take that seed hit, man. You won't be able to get your medications, anything. You won't be able to do anything. That's why, like I read, you know, you're going to be, those that don't want to worship the image of the beast, by taking that seed hit, you're going to be killed. All right, you're going to be off the system, outside of the system. And if the Lord's not with you, then you're just going to have to figure it out. You know? You know, and hey, the Lord is only dealing with the elect. So even if you don't take the chip, hey, you know, the Lord's still going to get you regardless. He's still going to get you, whether it be through famine, whether it be in the wars, when then, you know, you get caught up in the civil unrest, the anarchy, whatever, however it plays out. Even if you don't take the seed hip, if you're not of the elect, the Lord's still going to get you. You know? But the Wadi Halba Shemal Shai, you know, this only applies to the elect as far as salvation. You know, the hopeful elect, we've got nothing to worry about. All right, this is why we're catching our hell now, so we don't get condemned with these people. You know? So we're coming into that time more and more. You know, and that's why, as I read earlier, hey, you know, stay sober in prayer. Pray. Don't allow the Lord to get unfamiliar with your voice. Pray. You know, it doesn't have to be long-winded, you know, prayer or anything like that, man. Hey, just pray when you're taking a shower. just pray. Pray. You know. And stay in tune with the Spirit, man. Stay in tune with Yahweh Shema Shai, man. You know, because the Lord is about to turn His face, and hey, you know, from there it's gonna be showtime. You know, but you know, I'm your brother Yo call from Great Millstone, Orlando. In case I didn't mention that in the beginning, your fellow Doomsday Prophet, giving all praise to Yahweh Shema Shai. Hopefully, this was edifying. Into the next one. Shalom.